Hello, welcome to the Lorraine Murphy Show. I think this is the first time I've ever done this. I am recording a podcast episode live from Bali, although obviously it's not live because you'll be listening to this a couple of weeks after I record it. But I thought it'd be really beautiful. I've had an incredible 6 days so far in Bali, and I'm not looking as polished. For those of you watching, I'm not as polished, and the backdrop is not as polished as it usually is. But I guarantee you I am feeling incredibly relaxed. So I thought it'd be really nice just before I leave. I've been on a health retreat for the last 6 days. And before I leave, I thought it'd be really nice, almost like to lock in the frequency, the vibration of Bali and share it with you in a short and sweet podcast episode. So in terms of my love affair with Bali, so I think I counted up the other day, this is my 15th, 1-5 time here. And Bali really is it's my soul place. It's the place I come to recharge, to restore, to reconnect on a really, really deep level with myself. And I booked this retreat back in August. And I am so glad that I did, because in the couple of weeks in the run up to coming away, I really did start to feel kind of getting tired, starting to feel like little sparks, little niggles of resentment creeping in here and there. And I knew it was a 100% coming from a place of my own tank was not as filled to the brim as I would like it to be. And of course, I do the daily energy management things, and it's very much woven into the fabric of my day, my week, and my month. However, sometimes we just need, and not just sometimes, but I think frequently we need that really deep reset. Particularly for me, the business is growing very, very quickly, which is amazing. Got 2 beautiful kids, and home life is quite full on. I like to exercise a lot. There's just a lot to pack in. So that's why I come to Bali, to have that really deep recharge. If you are new to the show, hi, welcome, namaste. And you may not know that I actually host retreats in Bali. So my next one is coming up in June next year. And it's really beautiful coming away and doing these retreats on my own, because I get to experience new things. And every single retreat that I do, I bring a couple of elements into the next retreat that I'm hosting for women here in Bali. So if that is on your wish list to come away and do some of the things that I'm going to share with you in this episode, then yeah, check it out. I'll pop a link in the show notes to the Bali retreat for you as well. So in terms of why I wanted to come away, the last time I did a guided retreat was a couple of years ago. I did an incredible retreat for a week in Ibiza while we were living in Spain. And generally when I come to Bali, I plan it myself, because I know the healers, I know the food, I know the space quite well. But I really wanted this to be guided by someone else because for me, like, I'm sitting here recording this episode, I'm in my beautiful hotel room that's all packed up. The tripod from my phone is actually sitting on my suitcase. I've got the river rushing by here on the veranda behind me. There's the remnants of the flower bath I had yesterday. It's so luxurious and so beautiful. But if I'm really, really honest, the greatest luxury for me is when someone else makes all the decisions. In our family, I don't know if you may know My Little Pony, but my nickname in our family is Pinkie Pie. I'm the one who organizes the birthday parties and organizes the holidays and all the things. And I love doing that. I think creating experiences for other people and for myself, it's like my love language. However, when I come away to Bali like this, it was just heaven. When I arrived on Saturday, the wellness coordinator, Katut, just handed me 2 printed out sheets. Actually, I've written the notes for the podcast episode on the back of it. She gave me 2 printed out sheets. That was my week, essentially. And I pretty much cried when she handed that to me, because decision fatigue is a very real thing. And it's actually something that, again, I weave into my own retreats, because I know the women who come and join us they're weary of making every decision big and small. And for them to be told exactly where they need to be on an hour-to-hour basis, and to be told that this is go inwards time, this is your 3 hours to go and have some pampering, have a nap, have a read, have a swim, have a chat. Yeah, I just see the relief. It's probably the very same face that I made with Katut on Saturday when I arrived here. Just that someone else to drive, essentially, is so incredibly powerful. And I think coming away this time of year was really, really good for me in retrospect, having had the 6 days of recharge now, because I've got a very full Q4 in the business. There's lots of exciting stuff going on. Getting my Bold Darling group together for 2 days. I've got my magnificence program coming together for a day. I'm putting together a whole brand new I don't even know if it's a program, it's a strategic pack to help women plan out their business and their personal goals next year. And I'm hosting an in-person strategy day. So there's a lot happening. I've also got my parents visiting from Ireland, and we are going away as a family in early December. We're having a full 4 weeks at a Euro Christmas, which I cannot wait for. I'm so excited. It's funny thinking about that trip here, chatting to you in tropical temperatures and thinking about, okay, I need to organize the thermals for everyone and get it all shipped to my sister's house and all the things. So coming away now is perfect because I know that I'm going to end the year really strong, and that I can really be in all of those amazing experiences rather than coming from a place of, feeling a bit tired or exhausted or resentful or whatever it might be. I have had such a deep recharge on every level, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, especially this trip, that I'm leaving today. I've got my suitcase packed, as I said, and I just feel really excited to get back into the world and make all of these amazing things happen. So where I am, so I've been on a health retreat, as I said, for the last 6 days. It's about 30 or 40 minutes outside of Ubud. And the reason I was drawn to it is it's very holistic. There is a big emphasis on spiritual connection and healing. The area itself is just stunning. As I said, there's a river just rushing past the window as I'm recording this, and water has been a really big theme for me in this retreat this week. So, and I've been here for 6 days, as I said, which to me is perfect. And I feel really like yesterday evening I was getting ready for bed, and I really felt like I'm ready to go back now, which is a really nice feeling. And then in terms of my daily routine, what it's looked like, I've been doing my miracle morning in my beautiful 4-poster bed here. Then I've gone to the gym and done a little bit of cardio, which is not like me, and then some weights. Had a beautiful yoga class, which is a group activity with the rest of the group. And then the lovely long breakfast. It's plant-based here, which I was a bit concerned about because I like my animal products. I also like a lot of protein, but actually it's been fine. I think when my daily activity is pretty much half of what it is at home, and then the mental activity is not even on the same playing field, given that the only thing I need to think about is getting myself to my next healing or getting myself to bed or what I'm going to have for lunch or dinner. So I think it's actually been fine. I felt very nourished, and I feel really light actually as a break from having the break from my usual food. There's a beautiful healing center here, so I've been doing a lot of treatments. I'm going to share a couple of my faves in there in this chat with you. There's a lovely pool. I've had just long meals, like lunch and dinner is 3 courses. So I've been there with my book, loving life, having my beautiful meals. I've been doing a lot of journaling every time I come to Bali, and I would really suggest this if you are considering doing a retreat, whether it's me or anyone else, or it's self-guided. I start a new journal every time I come to Bali, and it's exclusively for my thoughts that bubble up while I'm away on that time together. I've got lots of these journals now. I was doing a declutter in my office recently, and I found a stack of these journals, and it's really lovely going back and reading them a few years later and seeing how an insight that dropped in a morning meditation in Bali has then influenced my life or business in some way, shape, or form. And I can see almost like the lived experience of that insight and how it has materialized in the real world. So yeah, I really love having those dedicated journals. I've been journaling a lot while I've been here and been reading a lot. I'm currently, I think, almost finished my 4th book in a week, which has been amazing. And I've been going to bed at 7 o'clock. I've been a complete baby. And I haven't watched any shows. I haven't opened my laptop the time I've been away, which has been really lovely. So yeah, I've been asleep by, I think, 8 o'clock, 8:30 at the latest, and then waking up with the sunrise at 5:30 every morning, which has just been, absolutely magic. So I am feeling, just doing a bit of a check-in as I'm recording this for you before I leave today, I'm feeling so calm. I'm feeling really sure of myself. And there's a real peace and a clarity in my heart that I struggle to find that peace and clarity when life moves quickly. Life moves very, very quickly in my world. And yes, I meditate and I do yoga and I have the nature time and all things, but there's something about just almost fully disconnecting from life at home that enables me to really excavate deeper. And obviously the incredible healings that I've been experiencing as well have been so helpful with that. And if I think back, I was mapping out this episode for you this morning over breakfast, and I was thinking about how did I feel arriving on Saturday? And I took a picture actually every day. And I really felt quite disconnected from myself. I felt quite flat and was really in that kind of go, go, go energy. That's what I describe it with my mentees. Obviously, if you elevate that language a bit more, I was very much in my masculine energy, that go push energy. And I think what coming away to Bali this week has done for me, as it always does, particularly with all the different elements of water. I won't get into masculine versus feminine energy as part of this episode, but being around water, immersing ourselves in water is such an incredible way for us as women to really get back into that feminine energy. So this week has felt chock full of feminine energy, which is, it's been so nourishing on a really, really deep level. I want to touch a little bit on the healing that I've been having over here. So I am no stranger to healings. I've worked with a number of different healers, obviously back in Australia, in Ibiza, and here in Bali, I've worked with a number of different traditional Balinese healers and also, what would you say, I guess, Western healers as well. Actually, as I'm recording this afternoon, I'm going to go see Jimmy, who is our healer in residence on my Bali retreats. So he sees each guest one-on-one. They have a private session with him, and I see him every time I go to Bali. So I'm going to see him this afternoon, and then I'm spending the night with my bestie and her family. They just moved to Bali in July from Melbourne, so I'm spending the night with them to just absorb and see what their life in Bali looks like, and then head back to the airport tomorrow. So as I said, I've done a lot of healing, and this week has been gold standard in terms of the healing that I've experienced. And just reading my notes here. Something I wanted to touch on as well is that Bali, and I hope I'm describing this properly, it sits at the intersection of three very powerful meridian lines in the Earth's surface. So that's why the healing energy of Bali is so incredibly powerful. So I often find if I come to Bali, that's when all the great stuff comes up, and it's when also, the light stuff comes up, but also the shadow work, it needs to be done as well. So that's why I always focus heavily on healing myself, and also if I'm hosting retreats here, because I know that there's almost like a 10 by effect and benefit of any healing that I do in Bali, because it's that very unique energy. And if you have been to Bali and you've been to the Bali I love, like the soulful, I'm pretty much sitting in the jungle right now as I'm recording this, that kind of Bali, as opposed to the Kuta, Seminyak, Canggu, go energy Bali, you'll know what I'm talking about. The energy here is so incredibly special. So it's always a big focus for me. And I've probably had 10 different between treatments, massage, healings this week. And I just want to touch on 3 of my favorites, because if you do have an opportunity to experience these, actually it's 4 of my favorites, and I would strongly suggest you to do that. So there is a healing modality called Watsu, W-A-T-S-U. And it's essentially healing in water. So I've had it once before in the past in Bali. And the Watsu experience that I had this week was a whole other level. So David is a practitioner, he's Spanish. He was explaining, I feel like he took it, as I said, he took it to a much more spiritual level. I've experienced Watsu from a very calming, the calming benefits in the past, but this was a very, very, very profound sacred experience that I had, which it feels a bit intimate, but I'll talk about it maybe another time once I've kind of fully integrated it myself. It was all super positive, but it still feels, I guess, precious for me. So what David is explaining was, so essentially in Watsu, you are in a small warm pool with the practitioner, and you have weights on your arms and your legs so that you're floating. And then the practitioner for most of the treatment will be holding your head. So you're essentially just floating. It's almost like a very womb-like experience. If you've experienced a flotation tank before, it's quite similar to that. And then what he does then is he guides you through the water. So you pretty much feel like you're floating and flying almost. And then at certain points, then he puts a little clip on your nose and he takes you down under the water and brings you back up again. How he described, and I've never heard anyone describe Watsu like this before, it's when you can fall back and soften into him and into the water, it essentially puts your ego and your mind to sleep. So what you can experience is pure being. There's no questioning, there's no planning, there's no thinking back, there's no thinking forward. You are just completely in the present. And that's part of the experience that I had this week. So if you do have any opportunity to experience Watsu water healing, strongly suggest you jump in it, because that was, I would say, the most pivotal moment for me this week in the whole 6 days. The second that I really enjoyed was a healing massage. So this was almost like a Balinese version of Jimmy, who somehow was able to find every tiny little creak and knob of pain in my body and then worked through it. It was very much delivered as a as a blessing and very ceremonial massage as well. But that was really, really incredible. I really loved that. The other thing that I really enjoyed, well, I didn't enjoy it. I actually hated it at the time, but it was really good. Was reflexology. So when I got there, this guy he looked like a traditional Balinese priest and a healer. And he said to me, have you had reflexology before? And I was like, yes, I've had it lots of times before. And he said, you've probably had a foot massage. And I said, no, it was definitely like it was not comfortable. This was a whole other level of discomfort last night. He had a tiny little pokey stick and he proceeded to find every organ, every hormone, every gland that might have been somewhat out of whack in my body. It was incredibly painful. But the relief when he released whatever it was that was going on with that particular part of my body, the relief was just this wash of calm moved through my body. And I felt so calm afterwards and so energized. I actually struggled to get to sleep last night because it actually made it quite energizing, which he had flagged with me. So yeah, Balinese reflexology was incredible. The last thing, as I said, I've experienced probably over 10 different treatments to count them all up. But the other thing I did this week was colonics. So I normally do 1 or maybe even 2 colonics when I'm in Bali. I did 3 while I was here. I have really good digestion. I pretty much have no digestive issues, touch wood. And even so, the practitioner that I worked with was incredible. And even so, I let so much stuff go. I had some really, really big releases to the point that I was like, where was all that hiding? Because I feel like my digestion's really good. So I often say this to actually the women who come to my Bali retreats, and it's a bit of a joke. It's like I say, a lot of shit gets left over here in Bali because the healing is so profound. And when they go through the experiences with Claire Obeid, who guides our Miracle Mornings, the workshops with me, the healing with Jimmy, they shed layers, like stuff that they've probably been carrying energetically carrying since they were children. So that, yeah, the leaving all the crap over here resonates for me in many ways. But it was interesting to I feel energetically so light and so bright. And then to physically have that leave my body as well this week felt really good. So probably in the TMI territory with this episode right now. But yeah, if you haven't experienced colonics and you're curious, I strongly recommend them. I think they're incredible. The other thing about colonics as well, actually, and particularly in a tropical climate, they are deeply hydrating because essentially you fill your colon with water and that gets absorbed into your system. So that's the other reason I really love to do them in Bali as well, because it's super, super hydrating. There've been some really clear themes that have come through for me this week. As I said, water has felt like a really big one. And these themes have come through from obviously the different healings, my morning meditation every day, just having time to reflect and make notes and observe, the reading that I've been doing, the higher guidance that I felt has come in. I think this is the other reason to take time away like I've done this week, because I say this to mentees all the time. We are constantly having our souls, I call them soul whispers. Our soul is constantly communicating these soul whispers. And when we are so busy in that go, go, go energy of lunchboxes and drop off and Zoom meetings and get to the gym and what are we having for dinner tonight? And I have to check in with that friend who didn't seem to be in a really great place. When we're in that, it's very, very hard to create the space for those soul whispers to drop in. So this week has kind of felt like a massive listening exercise for me. And there's been a few things that have come in that have been really, really powerful. There's also been specific signs that I've been seeing over and over again. So the whole idea of, dragonflies has come through a lot in weirdly, completely unrelated books. I spent 15 minutes the other morning and I was having my green juice after going to the gym, just watching a family of 4 dragonflies on a tree. It was so magical and so sacred. And I went into Ubud Center the other afternoon to get some presents for Wade and for the kids before I fly back. And I was just walking, and there was a very nondescript market stall, but I saw this beautiful dragonfly bracelet, and I just had to have it. So it's a really beautiful reminder. And if you're not aware of the spiritual significance of dragonflies, they represent adaptability. They also represent transformation and change. They're a very, very powerful spiritual symbol. So if you do see a dragonfly, it's a very good thing to have around you. So that was, as I said, very, very magical the other morning. I've had quite a few insights, which are probably kind of too in-depth to share with you as part of this episode. And most of the time I'll come back from retreats with like a list of actions. I get my Remarkable out and I'm like, okay, when I get back, I'm going to do this and this and this and this and this. This has been the first retreat of my life, I think, that I haven't had that. I haven't switched on my Remarkable all week. And I've been so in the present. And it's actually been really beautiful to feel that, with all those soul whispers that are coming through to me this week, which I'm so grateful for, everything feels like it's on track at home. Does that make sense? Like when I look back at my life, look at my life in terms of, the business and the kids and the family and all the things, it feels like it's on track. I haven't come away going, and I've already planned out my year for the year next year in the business. Sam, my ops manager, came over at the end of September and we've already planned 2026. And all of that's just sitting so well with me. So that's a really nice feeling as well, to come away and not feel like there's lots I need to change and adapt and tweak and cancel that and let's get this going and let's come up with this new business idea. It has felt like a very centered, very grounded week in that way. And that's felt so luxurious, actually, and almost indulgent, because I've just been able to focus all this time on me, really, and not be thinking about the business and what needs to happen there, because it's locked in pretty much, which feels absolutely incredible. So I need to exit my room because I need to go see Jimmy. But I just wanted to, as I said, share a short and sweet episode just to, I guess, share a little bit of behind the scenes about what it truly looks like and feels like to go on a retreat like this. I know that for some of you listening to this, me being away for a week, without family responsibilities, business responsibilities, maybe for where you're at right now in terms of your family or your business journey, it could feel completely out of reach. So I want you to know that if this has sparked something in you, me sharing my experience this week, and as I said, I do feel like I've skated over the surface like a dragonfly in the interest of time. But if it sparks something in you, these retreats don't have to be overseas. They don't have to be 7 days. They don't have to be 2 weeks. They don't even have to be 2 nights. But just creating some kind of pocket for yourself, even if it's a half a day or an overnight in a hotel, just to give yourself that space to breathe. Tom Ford, the fashion designer, said many years ago that the ultimate luxuries in life today are time and silence. And I feel like I've had both of those in like huge supply over the last week. So if you are curious about coming with me to Bali in June 2026, as I'm recording this, there are 8 spots left. 3 just got booked over the last week or so. I would love to have you join me. So it's 6 nights and 7 days in Bali. There is zero decision fatigue. I will make pretty much every decision for you. The only thing you need to think about is which beauty treatment you want to have every afternoon. And do you want to have a swim or do you want to have a nap? My incredible friend Clara Bede is my spiritual partner on these retreats. So she leads the Miracle Mornings, which is this beautiful blend that she creates of somatic movement, meditation, yoga, sound healing. It's just, you have to experience it to believe it. It's so incredibly beautiful. I host a series of workshops, which are very much guided towards you checking in with where you're at in your life right now and helping you then on the journey we go on. We focus on energy management. We also help you map out a vision for the next 5 years and 1 year. And then I'm very, very pedantic about helping you bring the retreat into fruition in that last session. I really want you walking away from the retreat feeling like, I've got a plan, I'm ready to go. Claire and I are both very passionate about that it's not just about, have a nice rest and chill. It's actually it's an activation, and it's something that you get to carry on for weeks and months and even years into the future. I've been asked a couple of times over the last few weeks, who are the kind of women who generally come? So generally 80% of women who come will be business owners, like me, and the other 20% will be professionals of some sort. And the age range, we've had 30-year-olds, we've had, God, I'm putting an age on someone now, but I think she was 65, I think. We've had a couple of sets of sisters, which is so magical and special for them to share that together. And really, they're all there for the common aim of having a deep reset for themselves, to re-energize, to reimagine what their lives can look like. I have a strict no mean girl policy. They're just not attracted to my work. They're definitely not attracted to my retreats. So it really is a very safe, but also a very expansive place to be in over the week. So as I said, if you're curious to explore more, you can jump onto the show notes and I'll pop a link there, and you can obviously also find it on my website and my Insta as well. Thank you so much for joining this week's episode. I'm really hoping that you can feel, oh, I feel emotional. The peace and the calm and the clarity that I'm feeling right now. I'm sending it down to your beautiful ears, wherever you might be listening right now. I really wish for every woman to experience what I'm feeling right now. yeah, that would be a very dear wish of mine. Thank you for joining me in this week's episode. As always, if you want to connect with me, send me questions, feedback, requests for future episodes, just jump over to my Instagram, which is at Lorraine Murphy Mentor. And I will chat to you again in next week's episode. Thank you.